going to go ahead and get started. Call to order at 6 p.m. We'll go ahead and take roll call. Mike Blessing.
Here.
Raquel Alvarez. Here. I'm here. Stacey Begin. Eleanor Evans, unfortunately, is out today, and she is not here. Moving right on, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. So if I could have everybody stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 2C, public report of action taken in closed session. Item 1C, expulsion of students. The board voted 3-0 to uphold the findings and recommendation of the administrative panel to expel student ID number 1025539 and student number 1025547 for 2 semesters, December 14th, 2022 through December 15th, 2023. All right, moving on to my favorite part. This 2D is student representatives. So we have 4 different schools represented tonight. We have, and I don't want to say your names wrong, but for Lincoln Middle School, let's give a big round of applause for Soraya and Mega. Yes. I hope I said them right. Come on up. Come on up to the mic. You might need to move the mic down. Or you can pull it off and hold it like I am. It works better.
Is the green light on?
You got to press the button, make sure the green light's on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay, cool. Good evening, Dr. Vigan and members of the board, Dr. Vitale and members of the cabinet. My name is Soraya Marrero, the president of Lincoln Associated Student Body.
And I am Mega Vaga, the vice president of Lincoln's Associated Student Body. Our ASB mission statement is leading Lincoln to be a more caring and inclusive community. We do this by holding a variety of events to include all of our student body. We also make exciting events, care for mental health, give students a chance to make friends, and give all students a voice. Our biggest event that has happened so far is our Fall Fest. We had fun setting it up, and students had loved our carnival games, food trucks, inflatables, and our photo booth. A couple of amazing spirit days we had were Wacky Wednesday, Twin Day, Red Ribbon Week, Costume Day, and Nothing But a Backpack Day.
A major activity our school uses is Panther Pride. It's a reward and recognition program that highlights students' implementation of our core values. Panther Pride stands for present, responsible, having integrity, disciplined, and engaged. Every 6-week progress report, we have a Pride event. All students that have displayed Panther Pride are invited to a fun event. One resource we have at our school is the student store. It's a store where students can get snacks and drinks, PE clothes, and school spirit wear. The student store helps provide for ASB's Spirit Day materials, school dances, and Pride events. The store opens at lunch to give students the opportunity to buy what they need. Along with Pride, we have another reward event we like to call Super Grade Trips. Super Grade Trips are offered to students who have better than average grades. This event gives students the motivation to work hard at school. We have one trip where it is on February 17th to Knott's Berry Farm, which gives students plenty of time to reach their academic goals. And our major plans for the second semester include the Valentine's Dance, Spring Festival, the 8th grade beach trip, Spring Pride event, the 8th grade formal, and let's not forget the 8th grade promotion. We hope you can join us for these activities, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for the great report. Nice work. All right, from Surfside Academy, we're going to have Peyton come on up. Hi, Peyton.
Good evening, Board President Dr. Begin, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Vitale. I'm Peyton Wilson from Surfside, and I'm excited to share some updates on what's going on. Congratulations to our November Rising Star, Via Dunn, and December student, Tula Martinez. Thank you for sharing your inspirational stories. We are very proud of you. Moving from 2D to 3D art, these 2 Surfside students, Brenda and Eddie, created some beautiful sculptures. These works of art are displayed on the Surfside Library. Nice job, students. Kicking off the holiday activities at Surfside, staff members decorated ornaments, and what a better way to start the holidays with a staff versus students volleyball tournament. Principal Franson shared it was fun to engage with each other and set the tone for the next few weeks. The students. This week we had our Surfside Spirit Week, and it's been festive to end our final week of school with some Surfside spirit. Today was Ugly Sweater Day. Students are acknowledged for being self-directed, an effective communicator, and an accountable citizen. Surfside Learning Outcomes, also known as SLOWs. Raffle tickets go towards the prize of their choosing, donated by our annual C pop-up shop. Surfside students can now shop for presents free of charge at our campus before or after school. Congratulations to our Surfside soccer team making it to the soccer tournament last week. The soccer team celebrated a successful end to the season with a pizza party. Jonathan Garcia, an impressive leader and team captain, said, "It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. We love the encouragement, Johnny." Next up, basketball. Our first game of the season will be this Friday. This event was arranged by our district leadership and supported by OUSD board members. The focus was on providing proper support for students enrolled in dual enrollment programs. Our student Hazel, Tatiana, and Adrian served on the panel. Very well done, and thank you for representing Surfside. Students get an individualized learning experience at Surfside. As some students receive extra support online for reading, writing, and math, they receive just the right level of instruction to build self-esteem and confidence in their abilities. Many that were struggling are reading without help and making the necessary connections to math. Surfside praises and recognizes our students for their accomplishments. Introducing the next entrepreneurs. Hospitality students presented their business plans in front of a representative from Oceanside District, Maricosta College, and Surfside Educational Academy for an opportunity to win a scholarship. We heard proposals from Maddie, Lexi, and Tati's business, Dream Beauty on the Go, from Rena and her business, Little Treats Cafe, Noah and Hazel's business, Smoothies on Wheels, and Sophia and Adrian's business, Pastry Shop. Congratulations to all the students for sharing their business ideas with passion. Congratulations to our class of 2023 early graduates, and congratulations to Alana, who was accepted to Carolina University, and Darian, who was accepted to Humboldt. Surfside is so incredibly proud of all your accomplishments, and best of luck with your future endeavors. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Peyton. All right, our next school is Oceanside High School. We have Natalia and Estella. Yay, Pirates.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Dr. Vitale, and staff. My name is Estella Diaz-Perez, and I'm the OHS ASB president. What's new? We had I Applied Week from November 14th through December 1st, German Exchange Student Program meeting on November 15th, Senior Class Pictures on November 16th, College and Career Day, November 18th, and many more events. These are some of the online posters we created for our events. 5 OHS athletes participated in NCC Leadership Conference, and girls basketball rose over foes to take tournament title. On November 29th, some of the students in the junior and senior AVID class went to Cal State San Marcos to visit the campus. Congrats to OHS Vocal Music Association for being granted $20,000 from Supervisor Densman to help fund their trip to Boston. And OHS Forestry Challenge teams earned 2nd and 3rd place at their first competition. OHS upcoming events. Choir is performing around town. We will also continue our Spirit Week on the 15th, the Winter Choir concert on the 15th, and many more events. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Estella. All right, big round of applause for our new representative from El Camino High School, Ashley. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to Board President Dr. Biggin and the rest of the board members, to Superintendent Dr. Vitale and her executive staff, and all who are present this evening for giving me the time to speak. My name is Ashley Seifaloy, and I'm the Vice President from El Camino High School. Our administration always enjoys visiting classrooms. Here are a few pictures of our students working hard in Ms. Esquivel's AP Government class and Mrs. Ortiz's Spanish 2 class. We celebrated the Marine Corps' 247th birthday. Thank you to our ROTC and for all that you do. Recently, we were finally able to bring back our ASB convention. Students were able to give speeches and campaign as they ran for ASB officers. Congratulations to our 2023 ASB president, Natalie Lopez, and all of our future amazing winners. Our visual and performing arts was also very active this month. Dance 3 performed at the San Diego Seals lacrosse game this past week. Dance 2 held their annual winter show, and choir and instrumental music had amazing winter concerts. Thank you all so much for giving me this time to present, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ashley. Nice work. All right, moving on to item 2E, approval agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? A second. First and a second. I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right, there we go. All right, moving on to item 3, board organization. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Vitale.
Yes, so I will be administering the oath of office to our new board member, Nancy Licona. So Nancy, if you'll please stand, and at the same time, yes, big round of applause for her, please. Please stand. And re-elected Raquel Alvarez and Stacy Begin. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Nancy Licona,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations to all 3 of you. Congratulations, Nancy.
All right.
I'm still in charge.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, okay. We'll now take nominations for the election of a new president for the Board of Education. Do I hear a motion to elect the 2023 president of the OUSD Board of Trustees?
Yes, I'll make a motion to nominate Raquel Alvarez for president of the board.
I'll second.
Raquel, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
All those in favor of approving Raquel Alvarez for the president of the Board of Trustees for the year of 2023, please say aye.
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 Did you vote for yourself, Raquel?
I did.
All right, that's a 4-0. And now you're in charge, Madam President.
We're going to go with the election of the board president. Vice president, sorry. Yeah, here I am already. Do I hear a motion to elect 2023 vice president of the OUSD Board of Trustees?
I would move Stacy Begin to be the vice president for 2023.
I'll second that. All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
We have a 4-0 vote. Here we go. My voice goes. Election of the board of the clerk of the board. Do I hear a motion to elect the 2023 clerk of the OUSD Board of Trustees?
I make a motion to elect Mike Bussing as clerk
I'll second that. All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I have a 4-0 vote. I'll appoint the superintendent as secretary of school board of education. Do I hear a motion to appoint superintendent as secretary of the board of trustees?
So move.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I have a 4-0 vote. Approval of 2023 Board of Education meeting schedule. Do I hear a motion to approve 2023 Board of Trustees meeting schedule?
So move.
I have a first and a second. All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
I have a 4-0 vote. Approval of authorized signatures of the district. Do I hear a motion to approve the authorization of signatures for district?
So move.
I have a first and a second. All in favor of saying aye, of all approving, say aye.
Aye.
I have a 4-0 vote. Losing my voice here, sorry. Okay, we're going to go now to board reports. We'll start with superintendent report.
Is your microphone on?
It is. It says it's great. Can you all hear me?
Is it
Okay.
going through the microphone? Okay, great. Okay, just a few things to share. Visited a number of school sites since our last board meeting: El Camino, Chavez, Surfside, Jefferson, Pablo Talk, and ATP. And I'll be attending ATP's celebration of students exit ceremony on Thursday, where we will be moving 5 students. So congratulations to those 5 students at our adult transition program. We had a community forum on substance abuse and the fentanyl crisis, which was well attended, and our partners at the Oceanside Police Department are looking to have a follow-up seminar for the community as well, and we look forward to partnering with them on that and attending that forum as well. I want to remind the board that our partners, Transformation Consultants, have planned our 7th annual Holiday of Hope event at Oceanside High School at 6 p.m., and we look forward to supporting all of our families at that wonderful holiday event. We are on break December 19th through January 6th, and all school sites and the district office will be closed. And I want to recognize our monthly Rising Star students that were recognized by the Chamber of Commerce. Vay Dunn from Surfside, Julia Metzger from Oceanside, and Joseph Milano from El Camino. And I want to welcome Nancy Lacona to the Board of Education. And Nancy, I think you have some family here. Would you like to introduce and recognize them for supporting you in your election to the Board of Trustees?
Thank you, Dr. Vitale. First and foremost, I want to say I feel grateful and humbled that our community has placed trust in me to make decisions that will be in the best interest of students, and making sure that we keep that the students' interest at heart of everything that we do. And of course, I want to thank my parents, my family. I get emotional every time, I'm sorry. Los quiero mucho, and thank you for all the support. Do I give my board report yet? Do I just jump in there? I don't know how this works, so. Okay, sorry, President Alvarez. A very short report in my just very short time as a school board member. I did get to attend the California School Board Association annual conference, where I was able to participate in the new school board member training. And so it was great to learn about budget, negotiations, community engagement. But what was great to see is so many amazing things that our colleagues across California are doing, innovative ways to engage students and to support students. And so I'm really thankful that I had that opportunity to participate in that. And I'm looking forward to all the positive work we have ahead of us.
Thank you. I will now pass it over to Mike Blessing.
Board reports. I don't have one this evening, which is not much of a surprise. I have a lot of faith and trust in staff to carry out the duties that we are, as a board, trusted with establishing on a policy basis, and I have full faith in the staff and the teachers and the support staff in the district to carry out those activities without me looking over their shoulders in their room. So don't ever take offense that I'm not in your classrooms. I'm not a teacher, as you all know, and you probably wouldn't want my teaching advice on that anyway. But I do appreciate everything that all of you do for the 14 years that I've been here. I've got two to go, and maybe more beyond that as well. But I do enjoy a basketball game, and I'm looking forward to El Camino starting up, I think this week. But I did not see a calendar I saw a calendar for Surfside, but not where they play. Where does Surfside play? Do we know where they play? Either at the Sale Rec Center or over in Vista. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Yes, now we will pass it on to Vice President Dr. Began.
All right, so I had a couple meetings. We're making a lot of progress in special education. I'm part of the Special Education Task Force that's been meeting for the last 4 or 5 years, and we're making some good headway on that. I also attended the Local Control Accountability Plan stakeholder meeting as a stakeholder, and just we're making a lot of progress with our district priorities at these meetings. And I have been working with, there's 29 teachers in Oceanside that are working on their national board certification, and I have the privilege to work with several of them. And hopefully at the next meeting, we'll bring some of the people that have just earned their certification recently. We found out on last Friday. So thank you.
Thank you. And I have a couple things. I was able to attend the Rising Star, which is amazing to see and talk with those students. So again, thank you to the staff for all the support that you have and do the things that you do with our students, because they wouldn't be as successful as they are if it wasn't for you. So thank you. I was able to attend the pop-up shop at Surfside and just see the amazingness of that pop-up shop. And the love and the passion that is at that campus it blows me away every single time I go there. And it was a place originally where my student went and my child went, and it was just amazing then, and it has become even more amazing now as it has grown. But the pop-up shop alone, all the work that is put into it, the students and the staff, the love that they have that goes into that, to be there to support the students, to be able to just go in there and to be able to show the love to their own family members, being able to go in there and get something for their loved ones is just amazing. I was able to go into the wood shop at OHS and see the amazingness, which I'm in awe, and I want to just live there now in the wood shop there at OHS. And just the amazing work that they do and that they're doing right now for each other, for other students. So thank you to Mr. Zubierta for that. I went into also the art department and saw what Mr. Moon is doing over there, and all the wonderful is doing with all the wonderful things over there with the students, and how they, again, their passions are just showing and seeing the love that they have for what they do and being able to show it off in their community, because it's in the museums, it's in the different areas of just where you're actually able to see the stuff that our students are doing. So thank you for just pushing that out to all of our staff. I was able to I'm also on the Surfside committee to be able to start looking at the renovations that we're going to be doing at that site. And so the amazingness of what they're already looking at and what they want that to be and how we're going to make it happen is so awesome. So thank you, Andy. 'Cause just wanting that to be an amazing site for all of our students to be able to go again, to just feel love as they walk in and on those campuses. Was able to go to the EC playoff game, because they were awesome and they did amazing this year. So congratulations, EC, for just making it as far as you did, and how you guys did it was just an awe to me. So, and also the LCAP meetings and being a part of that and seeing the growth of that. And so it's just amazing. So thank you all. We're going to move on now to, we're not going to have CSEA because Dora is out of town, but we will now bring up ODA, Oceanside Teachers Association, and Tiffany.
Hi all. Good evening, President Alvarez, trustees, Dr. Vitale, cabinet, community members, and colleagues. I am Tiffany Cooper Ortega, and I am proud to represent the members of Oceanside Teachers Association as their president. Next slide, please. ODA leadership has collaborated at the district level in bargaining. Some of that was from October and November. I apologize for not being here last month. Human resources, educational support services, LCAP, SPED caseloads, SPED task force, and I will agree with Stacy. I will say that the meeting that we had the other day was actually finally showing some progress. A lot of it was consternation and stirring, and I do feel like that last meeting we started to make some progress towards our task. Personnel support, calendar committee, and the Region 4 Leadership Conference. Next slide, please. This month, I want to recognize the backbone of our representative body, our site representatives. According to ODA's bylaws, site representatives are elected by the members at their site and responsible for being the liaison between the representative council and active members at each site, serving as the official channel through which communication is transmitted between the association and the members, and representing the views and gathering input from membership. Next slide. Those tasks are already a lot to take on. However, that list in no way describes all that ODA site reps do for their colleagues, the district, their site, and the impact that they have. They attend monthly association member meetings, They participate as appointed committee members. They mentor new members at their site, both professionally and personally. They seek information for colleagues regarding a variety of topics. They are both experts and historians of practices at their sites. They meet regularly with their site leadership, and they advocate for best practices and for working conditions. They are my first point of contact to get a feel for the climate and morale at each site, and they function as problem solvers and thought partners with the administrators at their site. These reps complete these tasks and more without compensation for their time and effort, and we would love to see all sites recognize these positions as an adjunct duty position for the work that they do to ensure that their colleagues can work efficiently and effectively for the students in OUSD. Next slide. I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to all of the names listed here on this slide. And if I missed someone, I'm so sorry. I was trying to go through all the lists. You work tirelessly as advocates for your colleagues and for your profession. Your association, its members, and I appreciate you immensely. Next slide. Next, I am excited to congratulate the very accomplished teachers in Oceanside who found out last week certification, one of which is in this audience. Lydia, raise your hand. Woo-hoo! Congratulations. To those who were able to complete the process required for maintenance of their previously earned National Board certification, aren't familiar with the process or the certification, candidates for National Board certification must complete and submit 4 components that include 3 portfolio entries and pass an assessment that are all designed to provide clear, consistent, and convincing evidence of a teacher's journey in continuous improvement and mastery in accomplished teaching. Next slide. There has been a wealth of academic research on the impact of National Board certification on student performance, finding a direct positive correlation in academic gains for students that are in the classes of teachers that have earned their National Board certification. Knowing the positive impact of these National Board certified teachers, I wanted to recognize USD of teachers who have earned their National Board certification to those in surrounding districts. It's clear that OUSD has significantly more NBCTs, and that is extremely powerful. That's partially due to the district recognizing the value of those NBCTs and our bargaining team working to have compensation in the form of a stipend for those teachers that have earned their National Board certification. So congratulations to all of our OUSD National Board certified teachers. We are honored and proud to have you as professionals in Oceanside Unified. Next slide, please. So I want to wish all of you rest, relaxation, reflection, rejuvenation over our upcoming winter break. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, we'll move on now to 5 general consent items. Do we have any public comments?
And we have several items. Items A, C, D, G, J, M, and E, double E.
All right. Thank you, Ann. I assume you don't want me to sit down in between them? Yeah, okay. Okay, I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, literally. So anyway, first, and item A, I wanted to say thanks to Ann. Oh, is it not? Oh, I have to speak closer into it. I just spoke in Fallbrook, by the way, and they have an awesome microphone. San Marcos and Fallbrook both have just an awesome microphone. So anyway, the minutes, item A. I wanted to say thanks to Ann and the rest of the staff for putting together the minutes of these meetings for so many years. Particularly like seeing the recap of public comments, of course, which are there in some cases, but not always. Be good to see them more consistently. I thought I should let you know the reason I'm speaking on a bunch of different items today is because I tried to email the district many times over the last couple weeks to ask how to present at this meeting, which is something I've done many times in the past, and I got no response from anyone, including the last one sent to Mr. Benz and CC'd to Ms. Vitali. So I figured I might as well just talk a lot. So I'm sure the minutes will reflect that appropriately. Thank you for that. Next item. Shall I just go on? Item. Do you want to call each one, or should I just?
So that he can time you on
Thank
each
you.
one.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I won't go over 3 minutes on any of them. Item C. This is the classified personnel report. So it looks like the HR department has been very busy. There's a lot of entries here. Congratulations to them for all that work. Lots of new hires, lots of changes in status, pretty normal resignations, though. Just so you know, right now, your year-to-date annualized resignations, voluntary terminations, we call it, is 18.27%, which is just a little above pre-COVID stats from 2019-20, which was 15.56%. Those numbers are slightly lower than the private industry average, by the way. Hiring is also on a pace with the past. You have 70 new hires this year, probably a bit higher than normal pace, but not significantly. Apparently, you have no problem attracting applicants or retaining existing staff, given stats for both are pretty close to what we see in private industry as well as past years. I'm sure the upcoming negotiations will tell us otherwise, though. I'm sure we'll hear about dire problems with both, none of which will reflect actual data, which is right here in this personnel report today. We do not, however, see any data on exit interviews, as I've asked for before, discussing how many people have left for what reasons, including unhappiness with salary. Given that's a key item in many of these negotiations, it's kind of puzzling that it's not important enough for the district to keep track of. But perhaps the district themselves can use these real numbers in negotiation. And while we're at it, how about a real salary survey comparing positions in schools to like positions in the private market? Certificated. So these are the results similar to the classified. Year to date, our voluntary turnover rate is 6.36%, about a third of the education industry average. You've hired 72 new employees, which is a record. As a matter of fact, higher than many entire years in the past. So as with classified, it doesn't look like we have a problem attracting or retaining employees. No one's not applying and no one's leaving. So let's not hear that, which is the opposite of what we'll hear soon, justifying the about to be approved bonus raises. Perhaps people who make these claims would like to read the personnel reports, as I do. I'd be happy to share my spreadsheet with anybody. Oh, this is just a fun one. I want to say I love these kind of things. The OHS show choir trip, I think it's a great thing for kids. Get out, there's nothing better than a group of motivated, excited kids going out on a trip to go somewhere and compete. I'm nice to see that you're doing this for the show choir. I'm sure they'll have a blast. Good luck to the chaperones. I can tell you I've chaperoned some field trips, Model UN with Miss Esquivel, Before the Mass with Mrs. Dahlquist, science trip to Dana Point with Mrs. Boyster, Gear Up trip to UCLA. Our kids are good kids, but they're not that good. So good luck to the chaperones.
Item J.
Acceptance of Coast Academy. So I would accept this report too. I think it's an awesome report. As usual, Coastal is blowing the doors off of OUSD. 41% of OUSD kids are meeting standards. In English, 58% of Coastals are. At math, 29% of OUSD kids are meeting standards. Almost twice as many, 44%, are meeting those at Coastal. It's good to see they have such an excellent support team for special education as well. With class sizes about 2/3 of OUSD, there's no particular mystery why that's happening. They're spending their money on education for the kids. And on top of this, we not only see the usual financial discipline leading to a good balance sheet without having gotten tens of millions in COVID funding, but they're building a new high school campus all on their own. It's kind of amazing. Thanks to Coastal for that work.
Item M.
Small thing. I love heat pumps. Heat pumps are awesome. They take heat from the air and then transfer it into the units and things. Very efficient, very much less electricity. So it's perfect for our climate. Great idea.
This next item, we have two speakers.
Oh.
So after you're done, then
Okay.
we'll have Rose Higuera.
Great. So sale and disposal of district-owned equipment. We've talked about this before. I've been up at this podium, I think, at least 3 times talking about this. I'm glad to see donation as an option on this. I'm not sure I've seen that before. Maybe it's always been there and I missed it. But hopefully you can find someone who can use this stuff. But I've just got to think there's some industrious OUSD kids out there that could take 2,000 Chromebooks, part them out, and figure out how to make some working machines. And that just seems like something we should give to our kids, not necessarily donate it out elsewhere. It seems like a very low hurdle to me to just put them in a warehouse, open up to the public on a Saturday morning, and everybody gets told, come, get what you want, donate what you feel like. I mean, we're going to give them away anyway. You know, it just seems like if we gave them to our kids so that they could get the experience of fixing them and putting them together and actually use them at the same time, it would be good for the community. So, thank you.
Rose Higuera.
Yes, I wanted to find out what was being done with the 2,000 Chromebooks as well. It seems like we just bought a bunch of new Chromebooks during COVID. Even like preschool kids got brand new Chromebooks. And so it seems like a lot of Chromebooks to be disposing of to the tune of $225,000 worth of stuff that we're getting rid of. And so I think it's just highly wasteful. So yeah, I want to know what we're doing with those Chromebooks, because I think a lot of kids could use them that can't maybe afford a laptop or a computer. And so I think it would be better to donate it to kids in need in our schools.
Andy, can you give a little bit of what we do maybe with those Chromebooks? Or the difference of what's going on with those?
Testing. Is it working now? Thank you. I'm going to actually invite Mike Gravlin to come on up. Mike Gravlin's here. He's in charge of our technology department to give a further explanation. I did want to just note that on this, the second part was the larger value. That was the charging cards. The value for the items above was did not exceed $2,500. Thank you, Mr. Gravlin.
Sure. Good evening. So the Chromebooks, a lot of people don't know this, but there's actually an expiration date on Chromebooks. After there's an 8-year period that when a Chromebook comes out, that it's supported by Google. These Chromebooks have reached their maximum support level. They're expired. They're no longer receiving their security updates. They're no longer usable for iReady. They just can't do what the students need them to do. However, a lot of the parts in these Chromebooks are usable in our existing fleet that is still supported. So we did use the parts to keep our ongoing Chromebooks plugging along, and what is left with these 2,000 Chromebooks are just shells. It's just the shell. And they do go to an organization called Computers to Kids, where Computers to Kids use them for students, and because they get parts from other school districts, and then they do exactly, they mix and match, and then they make working Chromebooks out of them, and then they donate them to families in need. So that's where these Chromebooks are going.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Andy. Okay, there's no more? No? Okay. Any board discussion? Anybody? I have to look over here. Okay. I have a first and a second. All in favor of approving all items on general consent? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. So 4-0. We'll move on to 6, presentations. A presentation to the Board of Education regarding community schools update.
Yes, I'd like to invite Dr. Smedley up to the podium, and he will introduce staff that will be presenting along with him. This is just an informational item for the Board of Education to receive an update on progress with our community schools, and I believe there's also a wonderful video someplace within this presentation. So welcome, Dr. Smedley, and please introduce anyone that's going to be presenting with you, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Josh Kohler, one of our lead community school coordinators who will be presenting with me. Good evening, board trustees, Superintendent Vitale, Executive Cabinet, and OUSD families. On behalf of Dr. Levy, I'm excited to have the opportunity to provide you with an update on the substantial progress we have made with our Community Schools initiative here in Oceanside Unified. We understand that education is our primary mission, and our community schools are dedicated to supporting our students in every way. This student focus also led to our portrait of a graduate, which was the culmination of several months' worth of collaborative and engagement with multiple community and student groups. During this time, we elicited feedback from students, staff, community members, and our current practices in order to understand what is needed to ensure our students thrive when they leave OUSD. This work produced a shared vision of what a successful graduate looks like. Along with our portrait of a graduate, are portraits of the adults and systems impacting the outcomes we want for our students. This process highlighted our current strengths and identified barriers that may exist on our students' educational journey. Our community schools are directly connected to the systems portrait work, specifically student-centered instructional vision, proactive future-oriented approach, emotional intelligent culture, inclusive and equitable systems, and family, community, and district partnerships. Addressing these obstacles while building upon existing strengths and successes is where community schools fits as an important equity response. Community schools is a transformative strategy that is centered on student success by removing health and well-being barriers to learning. Our community schools foster student success by bringing families, teachers, and community partners together to meet the specific needs of each community school. Connections and relationships between our community and our schools are essential. Research shows that by building trusting relationships, dedicated investment, and inclusive leadership, student success will be enhanced. Community schools understand that student success and family and community needs are intertwined. Improving student outcomes is strengthened by overcoming health and well-being barriers to student learning. Students and families are central to all community school efforts. Our vision is to transform our schools into student and family-centered hubs, and our mission is to improve student outcomes. Each of our 6 community schools has a dedicated full-time coordinator on site. Our coordinators facilitate hands-on support for students, families, staff, and site administration. In order to support the coordination and logistics of our 6 community schools, we have established a lead community schools coordinator at the district level to align our strategic efforts. And that's our Josh right here. We are excited and proud of our community school coordinators team. Several of our community school coordinators were born and raised in Oceanside and attended Oceanside schools, or they come from nearby communities. Many of our coordinators are here in attendance tonight in support of our work. And would our community coordinators please stand up so we can recognize you? Thank you. Our community schools work is grounded in the implementation of the 4 pillars of community schools. They are creating integrated supports, expanding learning opportunities, engaging families and communities, and making shared decisions through collaborative leadership. Please enjoy the following premiere of the OUSD Community Schools promotional video.
OUSD Community Schools is not another program. Community Schools is an equity strategy that organizes community strengths and resources around student success.
I'm gonna take a photo from the inside of your eye. What do you think?
Community Schools changes how we do school. With integrated student supports, expanded opportunities, active engagement, and collaborative leadership, the community schools strategy empowers an entire community to thrive together.
We support my son in academically, emotionally.
By meeting our students' physical, mental, and social emotional needs, we can improve learning.
I'm happy that it's offered in the school in their time. The child is not interrupted of leaving the school academically and losing what they are learning.
We listen to students and families and figure out how we can remove any barriers to learning. This enables students, teachers, and administrators to focus on academic success.
Hi, my name is Josh Kohler. I'm the lead community school coordinator here at Oceanside Unified School District.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Martinez. I am a graduate of El Camino High School and I'm the community school coordinator at Jefferson Middle School.
I'm Al Sega, community school coordinator at Laurel Elementary.
And my name is Natalie Gibney and I'm the community school coordinator at Libby.
My name is CJ Malulu, graduate of El Camino High School and community school coordinator at Cesar Chavez Middle School.
Hi, I'm Isamar Sanchez, the community school coordinator at Pablo Cox School of the Arts.
My name is Rosanna Martinez. I am a graduate of Oceanside High School and the community school coordinator at Mission Elementary.
I would like to introduce Josh Kohler, our community school coordinator lead, who will address our community school work at the site level.
Thank you, and good evening. As a result of our community school surveys, focus groups, and community school leadership meetings, a strong collective voice for our families and caregivers expressed the desire for more integrated student supports. Integrated supports became a prioritized goal within our community school initiative. Our district has many ongoing partnerships and supportive services that community schools look to expand, enhance, and elevate. Our families have identified desired supports unique to each community school. Our team of community school coordinators establishes new partnerships aligned with our community's voice in support of our students' learning. These partnerships are being cultivated in an equal and equitable manner through shared decisions and participatory leadership. Many OUSD families reported having health insurance, while others shared they were either underinsured or uninsured. This served as a large barrier to certain health and medical needs. Through the expansion of both health and mental health resources on the community school campuses, the improved accessibility allowed more support to students in their best interest without being pulled away from school or families having to take time away from work. Another high priority identified by our community was coming together to support each other's basic needs, namely food, clothing, and housing. We know that hungry children may find it hard to focus in school, and students who lack housing and clothing often struggle in their academic classes. Community schools address this barrier for children by prioritizing food distribution events and coordinating donations of new jackets and new shoes. This also includes streamlining referrals and housing resource support directly between OUSD and community partners to help support our families and keep our students in school while they encounter housing instability. Many of these partnerships are designed for ongoing support and sustainability, and this is just the beginning. Some upcoming additional partnerships are aligned with our commitment to serving student well-being. This includes upcoming partnerships and pilots for academics, basic needs, mental health, and physical health services. Enriching and expanding learning opportunities is a pillar for maximizing our students' learning both in and out of the classroom. Through community school engagement efforts, we saw increased participation in summer school, expansion of before and after school programs, and increased enrichment opportunities offered during school breaks. Supporting students' learning through enrichment opportunities keeps students engaged and challenged and having fun. As we work towards making our community schools a student and family-centered hub, each community school will establish a wellness center to be a space for students and families on campus. Once all our community schools have their furnished wellness centers, we intend to open for extended hours on evenings and even weekends, based on community wants and needs. Another key pillar of community school work is family and community engagement. This means meeting families where they are at and being prepared and welcoming for different languages, literacy levels, and family availability. We actively encourage all voices to be heard. While engaging families with supports, meaningful relationships can lead to uncovering needs not yet identified that grow into additional resource connections for our families. For example, one referral can result in multiple resource connections, like when a student was referred and supported by their community school coordinator with connecting to a resource for internet access. The family shared that there were other children in the home that could also benefit from connections to resources for food, clothing, and vision services. These data points, partnerships, and supports are just part of the story. The words and thoughts of our students tell a more personal side of the story that deserve to be shared. For example, 2 students from Pablo Talk School of the Arts wrote these notes to their community school coordinator about the Vision to Learn services. Thank you for making sure our RAs are healthy and strong. Thank you for examining my eyes, because no one ever knows if their eyes need to be checked. A letter from a student who received personal support from their community school coordinator at Laurel Elementary wrote, "Dear Mr. Alsega, thank you for the shoes, socks, lunchbox, and supplies. I feel very lucky to be at Laurel because of people like you who care about kids." These successes are all accomplished by and for our community. We continue to monitor our progress and focus on accountability to our community. We track data related to the services we provide and the impact our work has on student learning. As a community schools coordinator, we are constantly reflecting and reassessing to find the most positively impactful actions for each community school and the best interest of our students.
Initially, the Board of Education had a vision for community schools and ensured that we utilized the LCAP to initially fund the role of community school coordinators at our original 4 community school sites, Jefferson, Laurel, Libby, and Mission. To continue the work, we applied for and received the California Community School Partnership Grant from the California Department of Education. This allowed us to expand our work to additional qualifying OUSD schools, Pablo Talk School of the Arts and Chavez Middle School. This has helped our community schools expand our services and expand on our family connections. Thank you for allowing us to present on this important community school strategy for supporting students. We are passionate about the work that has been accomplished so far, and we will continue to refine our efforts to best serve Oceanside Unified School Districts and the families they serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does board have any questions for staff? You have any questions for them? I just want to just say something real quick. I know it's been a work in progress and just trying to get to this point, and you guys have done, your team has done an amazing job. So thank you. Just seeing just the letters that are coming from the students themselves and seeing the appreciation that they have. I thank you from just everything within me, because I know for me, this was a huge, huge project that we wanted to get going and get it moving as fast as we could, because the need was there, and you all made it happen in a timely manner, and have now just even going and applying for the grants. That all that together has been just some amazing work. But even seeing just the collaboration even with the community itself, so seeing families come in and be a part of it, because our PTOs and our DPACs and everything like that were showing that people were not getting involved anymore, and were not there and as involved as they could be and should be. But with the community schools and everything going on within the schools, you've been able to raise those numbers. And so thank you for all that you do within the schools and for our families, because I see that outpouring is not only just with those schools alone, but outside of the schools themselves into other schools, because our families are in other schools, and so it's just going all the way around. So thank you for all that you do. I appreciate all the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I did want to make a quick comment. I know that it's the funding that was given, it was really difficult because there's very little guidance on what constitutes a community school. And so at the school board conference, I attended a workshop on community schools, and just seeing the work that you're doing, we're way ahead of a lot of districts who are just in the very beginning stages of trying to plan what they're utilizing their money for. So thank you for the work you're doing, and you know, compared to other districts, we're definitely doing an amazing job.
Thank you for that comment.
This is an information only, so no vote is needed, but we do have some public comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2. We have first Todd Madison and then Rose.
Hi. There you go. I was wondering where the clock was. So me again. I'm kind of conflicted on this one. I can tell you, as disclosure, I know Greg. He's a great guy. He was my kid's principal for years. Awesome. I have a lot of trust that he's going to build something good. He and Josh and the rest of the staff. I greatly appreciate the intent to take care of the kids in our community. But there's a point in every business where you need to kind of stick with your knitting. You need to focus on your core competencies. Ours is supposed to be education. So trying to do everything doesn't work better than doing a few things extremely well. We have no lack of hurdles on academics in our district. We've seen some pretty poor performance out there. So the question is, why are we getting involved in things that are not our core competency? There may be reasons for that. I understand partners will come in, so it's not all on us. But we still have staff like Greg and his staff that are involved in this, so we're still putting resources into this. Seems like we've got a lot of things to do. And from what I've seen, there appear to be many options for people to get these services outside of our schools already in the community. So now perhaps this is viewed as a way of boosting academic performance. I mean, I saw a lot, the word success comes up a lot in this, and I would agree with that if we can define success. So one of the issues I have is in that last discussion from the board, no one asked what the metric was for success. If we're gonna call this a success, we need to know what success is, don't we? Or is this going to be a program that just continues on forever with no measurement of success so we can tell whether it's actually working or not? I don't know what that measurement would be. Maybe the CSBA had some recommendations in their workshop that I'm not aware of. But there must be something. There must be something that we can define as success so we can come back to this a year from now and say, okay, we define success as X, Y, and Z, and we're either meeting or not meeting those goals and either make changes or whatever needs to be done. But that's my real concern, is just making sure that we actually have an expectation here that we can track. So thank you very much.
So I also had some concerns about a community school. In your little pamphlet here, it says, education is the investment our generation makes in the future. And this is a quote by Mitt Romney that you put in here. So this is education should be the focus, not indoctrination. And if you look at the bottom of the chart, it says inclusive and equitable. So inclusive and equitable systems for whom? I know that this school district focuses on a very, very small agenda. So I'm wondering how the inclusivity and the equity covers all students. Also, there's counseling going on, there's food pantry, there's eye exams, there's glasses. I thought that this was a school. I don't know, it seems like an overreach. You're going into parental authority. I don't know if you're getting permission from parents to counsel their kids and give eye exams, but I know medical insurance is very easy to get. Here, covered California, pretty much anybody, even if they're an immigrant, they can get health insurance. So I'm not understanding why all of our school funding and our taxes are going to these services. Also goes on to say, trusting relationships that strengthen partnership and collaboration, and data-informed decision-making and improvement and accountability. I don't see how there is accountability in this school district when a lot of the things that are done here are without parental consent, without parental authority. As a community, we want you to teach our kids education. We want you to raise the grades, reading, writing, math. We're here month after month talking about that. Our grades are horrendous, and yet, you know, we're bringing in all these other social services. And I would like to also know in the community schools what the mental health support resources entail. Is this gender and transition pressure? Are we asking our students those questions? Yeah, so I'm just, as a parent, I am concerned that we are going far beyond the authority of schools into all these different things that our taxpayer dollars should not be going to.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 7. A, approve a revised class specification, benefits technician. We have a staff presentation.
Thank you. Item 7A for board consideration. Human Resources has worked with the benefits department and identified the need to reclassify the benefits technician to the benefits senior benefits specialist. This is to enable the level of work to match with the positions and responsibilities.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor of approving item 7A, say aye. Aye. We have a 4-0 vote. Moving on to B, approval of revised class specification, benefits assistant. Staff presentation.
Thank you, President Alvarez. The benefits assistant will change to the benefits specialist in order to align with those work responsibilities. These adjustments mirror the structure of the payroll department and allow for more advancement opportunities for classified employees and shared responsibilities in the department.
Okay, any questions for staff?
Move approval.
Okay, I have a first and a second. I have a first and a second. And all in favor of approving item 7B, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Announced vote of 4-0. And we move on to item C. Approval of annual credentials report for 2022-2023 school year. Staff presentation.
Thank you. This is an annual item that we bring before the board for approval. This allows teachers to voluntarily teach in elective classes and other assignments that do not have the designated CTE credential requirement.
Do you have any questions for staff? No? Do you have any public comment? So, on this one?
Second.
I think we have a public comment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Todd Madison.
All right, thanks again. So this is just one of those I'm speaking on because I'm not allowed to give the presentation on the next one that I wanted to give. So it's great to see that OUSD has been able to find appropriately credentialed teachers to teach all core academic subjects. That's awesome. I see on this list we have only 2 teachers that are not yet credentialed for the academic subjects they're teaching, and they appear to be working on it, so that's a good thing. I'd like to say thanks to the teachers who are also throwing in to handle the non-academic, the elective subjects. Many of these listings here are things that may not be math or science directly, but are certainly important in supporting those academics. We greatly appreciate that. So once again, we don't seem to have a problem finding appropriate teachers to teach here. So that's actually good news. It reflects well on the district. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have, so any board discussions? Anything? Do you have anything? Okay. We'll call for the vote. Do I hear a motion to approve item 7C? Oh, you had a first and a second? Okay. We have, who was this? I didn't hear a second.
Second.
Okay. Oh, Mike was the first and she was the second.
Stacy was first, Mike was second.
Okay. All in favor of item 7C, say aye. Aye. We have a 4-0 vote. Item D, ratification of negotiated agreement between the Oceanside Unified School District and the Oceanside Teachers Association. Staff presentation.
I'm pleased to bring before the board the new master contract language that was ratified by ODA and also agreed upon by the OUSD negotiations team.
Any questions for staff? No public comment.
First will be Todd Madison, Rose Higuera, and then Michael Richardson.
Glad I sat close. Okay, so let me start with the fact that I love our teachers. I've got to say, my wife and I know many teachers. They're wonderful human beings. Our kids got a great education here. I have to thank everybody for that. But that doesn't change the financial realities we face. You can love people and still have to make decisions, hard decisions. But once again, we have another bonus raise in front of us. This time, we were not even told what the cost of that raise was going to be in advance. It's not in the board documents. The required disclosure was not released until 11 a.m. today on the county's website. I have a copy right here, just in case anybody on the board actually wants to see what they're about to approve. For the entire population of Oceanside who have not gone there and read it, I can tell you this agreement is going to cost us a total of $16.6 million over the next few years. It's an increase of 4.83%, taken directly from funding that could be used to better educate our kids. In things like English, where 41% met state standards, or math, where a miserable 29% met state standards, but we don't need to improve that. We could spend this money on improving education, but we're not going to do that. What is school for if not to give more money to adults, right? Isn't that what we're here for? Nor are we going to use it for things that the union tells us they want, like smaller class sizes, funding for supplies, expanded programs for less fortunate or advanced kids, or even significant increases in starting teacher pay, something I would applaud in a heartbeat. This raise is just the beginning, too. Soon we'll see the inevitable Me Too raise for administration, where people who supposedly negotiated give themselves the same deal. True corruption in my book. Why can we see this document we can see why this document was not released in the board packet. Telling parents how many tens of millions of dollars you're going to take away from their funding for their kids so you can give yourself a bonus raise would be kind of inconvenient, I think. The disclosure was signed on the 8th. State law requires a qualified district, as OUSD is until a few minutes from now, to disclose 10 working days in advance. That wasn't done, so the approval you're about to give is illegal. But that won't stop you, I'm sure. Also not disclosed was the county's response, pointing out that the district may be back in deficit spending and requiring the district to submit budget solutions, meaning cuts, to them. I have a copy of that also. Why are you not willing to tell us right now what you're going to cut to fund your raises? Doesn't that seem reasonable to ask? Lastly, we don't see any indication what the people who will receive this raise are already making. Why are you unwilling to tell parents that the median total compensation of a full-time certificated employee in 2021 was $123,000? Those are the people we're giving raises to so we can cut from our kids. So I don't expect anything to happen as a result of this. I'm sure the myth of the poorly paid staff will continue. These are the people who fund your campaigns, so of course we're going to vote for approval. Go for it. There's nothing we can do to stop that. Thank you very much.
Any board discussion? Thank you. Todd, board discussion? Oh, sorry.
All right, so I also want to talk about the 4% increase in raises across the board, which is going to cost the taxpayers a ton of money. And I'm not against giving teachers well-deserved raises, but if I was a teacher and the kids had high school readiness for college was 32%, the elementary reading scores were 43% proficient, high school readiness 50%, math in elementary school their score was 39%, middle school 40%, high school was 26% in math. I mean, I think I would get fired. So obviously this school board doesn't know how to raise the scores. They only know how to give raises to themselves and the people at the very top. So we are taking money, critical money, away from our kids. For example, our transitional kindergarten classrooms, which you have created, are 24 students to one stressed out teacher with one aide, We're talking about 4-year-olds, 24 4-year-olds. It's like trying to herd a bunch of cats. But yet, you know, these are the conditions that our kids are in. So, I mean, I think that you guys should create more classrooms and more teachers so we have smaller class sizes and maybe start there. I mean, if our kids can't even read, how are they going to graduate from school and fill out an application and get a job with these horrendous scores? As a board, you guys have failed our kids time and time again, year after year. I think it's time for a new board that actually cares for our kids and our students and actually listens to the parents, because we don't want all this other garbage taught to our kids, but obviously you guys would rather teach them about LGBTQIA rather than teaching them how to read, write, and do math.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. You've heard from me before. You know, we all have had some good teachers, some great teachers, and some so-so teachers, and some bad teachers. One of my favorite teachers was Mrs. Kitchen. She taught creative writing at Jefferson. I had her at Jefferson in 1955, and I still remember some of the principles, and I still think of her when I write a letter or an article or something. Another favorite was Mrs. Irvine. She taught me my love of the Constitution, and she also helped me get 100% on the Constitution test. Oh, that's right, you don't do the Constitution test anymore. Do you even know there's a Constitution? Now, those teachers, I wonder what they would think. Mrs. Kitchen, incidentally, is still alive at 103. I wonder what those teachers would think about a 7.5%, 4% plus the contractual 3.5% raise. And you say, oh, but you know, the teachers are poorly paid. Well, I happened to look at the salaries of teachers, and the number one highest paid teacher in Oceanside Unified School District is somebody named Alma Casillas, first and second grade. Her total pay and benefits is $241,000. Now you say, oh, that's a fluke. She must have worked some magic. Well, let's go down to number 10. Tiffany Cooper Ortega, the OTA president, who incidentally orchestrated this contract. She was on that committee. Isn't that a conflict of interest? Since she makes, including benefits, $177,120. Now you say, oh, these are all just off the wall. These are out of the mainstream. Well, let's go down to number 30 on your list of teachers. Renee Ortega, teacher. $165,904. This is not an aberration. This list goes on and on. I don't think my favorite teachers, Mrs. Kitchen and Mrs. Irvine, would understand. And I think that this is crazy, that you're giving these teachers 7.5% increase plus a Christmas present of $2,500. I think it's outrageous.
Thank you. Looking for, do I hear a motion to approve item 7D? I have a first, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor of approving item 7D, say aye.
Aye.
We have a 4-0 vote. Item E, approval of certificated salary schedules with negotiated increases. Staff presentation?
So this item is the published certificated salary schedules that correspond with the certificated staff receiving the 4% raise.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
3 speakers on this item.
Okay.
Todd Madison, Rose Segura, and Patrick.
All right, thanks again. So here's the result of what we just approved, $16.6 million from the funding for our kids to give to the bank accounts of adults. A schedule is nice to see, but of course it doesn't represent actual pay, which often includes other bits of money like the $2,500 one-time bonus Mike just mentioned. Fortunately, though, we do have actual data provided by the district directly from their payroll records. To all the grumbling I heard about that's not true, I would suggest you talk to Ms. Norman about that because it's data directly from their payroll records. Thank you for that. That data shows the median compensation of a certificated employee is $122,560. The cost is now going up by 4%, plus the normal schedule increase of about 3.5, means in 2022 numbers, we can expect to see this at almost $132,000. That seems like a pretty good paycheck to me. Of course, this includes the cost of benefits. Healthcare insurance is difficult to compare, but contributions to retirement plans are not. Teachers receive retirement contributions from their employer that is 16% higher than private employees do. The median pay only of a teacher was $92,000. 16% of that is $14,000 a year. If a private employee were given that much into their 401k, it would be likely worth over $2 million at the end of a 30-year career. That's a pretty nice benefit. Please don't try telling us that that's not an important part of compensation and shouldn't be counted. I'm sure anyone verging on retirement would love to have $2 million in their 401k. In San Diego County, a private employee with the same educational level as a teacher makes $86,000 a year. That's the U.S. Census Bureau. That's $6,000 less than a teacher gets paid. If we include the additional retirement benefits, teachers make almost $20,000 a year more than they would make with that education in any other job in our county, working outside education. The myth that they're not being paid fairly is a myth. I'm very happy it's a myth. I hear a lot about how somehow I'm against paying teachers well. I am fine with teachers being paid what they're being paid right now. What I'm not fine with is taking more money away from the education of our kids to boost that even higher. You may note this schedule also includes regular raises, about 3.5% per year. That's about 1.5 times inflation. That's why I call these bonus raises, because they're on top of the regular raises they get. When the teachers union tells you we haven't gotten a raise in X years, they're out and out lying to you because they know they get raises periodically, if not every year. Lastly, we hear about the need to increase starting pay, and I agree with that. Why do we not see that actually done? Why is the starting pay step going up 4%, which is the actual schedule that we just did? Why is starting pay not going up even more? This salary schedule you see in front of you is designed by the teachers union. You'd think if increasing starting pay was important, they would design it differently, but they don't. They could take the last step and bump that up $2,000 or $3,000 a year for starting teachers. So thank you very
Todd.
much.
So here I see our social workers and our counselors are also getting a raise. So social workers are starting out at $52,000, and after 22 years, they can make up to $134,000. And our counselors can start at $48,000 and go up to $122,000 after 22 years of service. So my question is, why are counselors and why are social workers at our schools, because this, after all, is a school, and what is their agenda with our kids, and why are school boards allowing social workers and counselors to come in and talk to our children without our permission and without our consent, when we are sending them to school with good faith that they will be educated and not indoctrinated or swayed. So I would really love to know the agenda of the social workers and the counselors and what the process is, how minor children are allowed to get counseled by counselors that parents don't approve of, they don't share our values, they don't know our families, and yet they're able to overstep our parental authority. So I would like some accountability there from our school board. I want to know what these counselors are talking about to these children, what is the process, if there is parental notification, consent, what are our rights as parents? Because it seems like the schools have a lot of rights and the parents have zero, and this is wrong. These are our children, and we are their greatest teacher, and we should be making the medical decisions for our kids, not you.
All right, JJ, for you, Jordy and Julie. Here we go again with giving pay raises, and I have a problem with the teachers if they do their job, because you don't do your jobs. Let me tell you that. For the $205,000 you get paid, which you're probably going to get a bonus, and you're $280, that's almost $500,000 taken away from our kids when you guys can't even do your jobs. Meaning, again, let's go over those numbers again from usnews.com. High school readiness for college students, seniors, 32% readiness. That's on you guys there, Mr. Director of Student Services. That's you, buddy. You're not doing a very good job. Also, let's go over those test scores again. This is from usnews.com. Reading elementary, 43% proficiency. Middle school, 48. High school, 50. That's middle of the road, which is pretty sad. Math's even worse. Math, again, U.S. News. These aren't mine. You can go look them up yourself. Math elementary, 39% proficiency. Middle school, 40. High school, 26%. You've been coming here for a year and a half talking about getting the grades up. You guys don't listen. You don't listen. Reading, writing, arithmetic. This is a school, not a clinic. It's a school. JJ, you guys, figure it out. You're supposed to be doctors, and you can't figure this out? You know what? If you're in any other business and you had scores like this, you'd be fired. You guys are getting an F for failure. And, I just kind of wonder, why the other board members, you don't fight for kids. I really wonder why. There's only got to be 3 reasons for that. One, you enjoy your title and your pay, so, you don't want to rock the boat. Could be that, you probably threw in your lot with the rest of them all, and, you sold out the kids. Or you're just a coward to say anything. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to approve item 7E? I'll make a motion. I have a first. I have a second.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor of approving item 7E, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Announce vote for oral.
Thank you for those comments, folks.
Approval of salary schedule for district social worker. Staff presentation.
Thank you. Whereas the previous salary schedules were existing and updated to reflect the 4% increase, this is a new salary schedule for a position that was created this year and also has the 4% recent increase applied to it for board consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Any public comment? Okay.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor of item approving 7F, say aye.
Aye.
I have a 4-0 vote. 8, business. A public hearing regarding annual developer fee reports for fiscal 2021-22. This public hearing is open at, I don't even have my phone.
7:24.
At 7:24. Do you have any public comments for this hearing? No public comments. We will close this hearing. The hearing is closed at 7:24.
Let's say 25.
7:25. Thank you. Approval of resolution number 18/22/23, adopting the findings contained within the annual developer fee reporter for 2021-22. Staff presentation, please.
Thank you, President Alvarez. The district is required to prepare an annual report of the developer fees collected for the residential and commercial development projects within 180 days of the end of the fiscal year. It is recommended that the Board of Education consider and adopt the findings contained in the annual developer fee report.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? comment? Any board discussion? Anyone? I have a first. I'll second. Okay, and we have a second. All in favor of approving item 8B, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And now 4-0. C, first interim financial report for 2022-23. Staff presentation, please.
Thank you, President Alvarez. School districts are required to submit a first interim financial report as of October 31st each year to the County Office of Education. The interim financial report shows actual revenue and expenditures to date, budget revisions, projected ending balances, and multi-year projection, as well as an average daily attendance and cash flow projections. This report is due by December 15th. I'm going to walk you through our presentation. Next slide, please. So today we're going to be discussing, or this evening, the summary of changes from September 15th to October 31st. Changes to revenue and expenditures will be covered, general fund comparison, components of the ending fund balance, assumptions, multi-year projections, and next steps. This slide shows us the changes in the district's revenue. LCFF, OUSD received additional funds of more than $900,000 due to attendance recovery because we offered independent study during the 21-22 school year. That's on the first line. Another change is that we had federal funds increased in Title III, Medical Administrative Activities, commonly known as MA, and special education under the ARP, or American Rescue Plan IDEA Act. OUSD did not spend as much as anticipated in COVID funding, as some of the items ordered were not received until this current fiscal year, so there was a larger carryover than anticipated. When we look at state, we've been talking about these grants before. We did have funding increase due to the Arts, Music, Instructional Materials grant of $10 million. We have a Learning Recovery grant of $23 million. ELOP funds, that's our before and after school funding of $10 million, and additional special education funding of $4 million. Many of those are restricted, and I'll be talking about that later in the presentation. And then we have local revenue. This increased to donations, interest on investments, and local grants such as ACEs. Next slide. So first, we always talk about changes in revenue, then we talk about changes in expenses. We do not have any changes in our certificated salaries. We'll be updating this at second interim. We currently have increases to our classified due to additional hours for employees. The cost of benefits adjusted due to additional hours and additional employees who were added to health and welfare plans. Books and supplies and services and other operating expenses increased due to purchasing instructional materials and supplies from various funds. Our capital outlay and other capital outlay is for items over $5,000, often large equipment, as well as indirect costs, and those come from many of the grants that we receive. So our total expenses increased by just over $49 million. So the next slide talks about the 22-23 budget comparison. So we looked at where we started and where we are. Even though we're in December, this is actually as of October. So we go back in time just a little bit. Here you will see the differences. In revenue, they increased mostly in the restricted funds, as we discussed previously. Expenses also increased because we are using the funds allocated for the intended purposes, such as staffing and instructional materials. The next line is we have the net change in fund balance and deficit spending. It shows an increase in revenue, especially in restricted funds. The beginning balance always remains the same. That's almost $50 million. It's $49.7 million. The ending fund balance, we received more revenue than expected at the unaudited actuals. While both the revenue and expenses increased, the expenses remained lower than the revenue, resulting in an increase in the ending fund balance. And our reserve for economic uncertainties remains at 3%. These increase due to increases in expenditures. That always changes as the expenditures change. Next slide. Here we have the components of the ending fund balance. We always have our non-spendables. We didn't have a difference there. Our restricted for Title I, III, Medi-Cal grants, lottery, COVID funding had an increase of just over $22 million. In our assigned, we have set aside their employee compensation. That's the majority there. And then we had a slight change down to $23 million. So that was a decrease of $1.7 million. In our committed funds, we have post-retirement and we have funding for facilities and deferred maintenance. This decreased by $6.7 million. And the total amounts for assignments and commitments decreased due to the increase in restricted revenue and the increase in total expenditures. So as you expend your funds, what happens is then you're starting to cut into the money that was set aside in your committed and in your assigned, because that's money above and beyond your 3% reserve. Next slide. Now we have our multi-year projection. This is really important when we're talking about this year and the next 2 years. Next slide, please. Even though we're only seeing 3 years here, I'm always looking at 5 years out. I always think of year 4 as June, because we'll be looking at year 4 in June as our year 3. But today we're looking at 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25. Starting with revenue, the revenue does fluctuate from year to year based on LCFF assumptions, restricted funds, and grants. In 23-24, you can see the revenue drop significantly due to the fact that funds received from one-time grants, such as the Arts and Music Grant and Learning Recovery Grant I mentioned earlier, were received in 22-23 are not recurring amounts. So they're one-time funds. So we don't put them in all 3 years, because then it would look like we got them all 3 years. So they're in that first year. So you will see that money, just like we've seen the COVID money over the last 3 years move in and out of the budget. You'll see those monies move in and out as well. In addition, ESSER 2 is also coming to a close in 22-23, and the amount we receive based on the LCFF calculation also starts declining in 24-25 due to our lower ADA. We are still continuing to lose over 400 students a year. Expenses also fluctuate from year to year. In 22-23, we see the district's expenses are less than the revenue. However, in 23-24 and 24-25, you can see expenses begin to outpace revenue. This is reflected in the net change in fund balance. Here you can see the deficit spending taking place. That's when it turns to red, beginning in 23-24 and continuing in subsequent years as the spending is in excess of the revenue. The beginning fund balance increases from 22-23 to 23-24 because we had fewer expenditures than revenue received for 22-23. As you can see, due to deficit spending, the beginning fund balance drops again in 24-25 because revenue decreased while expenditures increased. And then we have our 3% ending fund balance. Next slide. Here we have our non-spendables that remain the same. So you see that's consistent across. Those are things like stores, revolving cash. That's some of our inventory on hand. Then we have our restricted funds. You can see that we start at 34 million, it drops down to 28 million, and then it drops again to 22 million. This does fluctuate based on what's allocated to the district in terms of restricted. We have our assigned. We've set aside 23 million. If it's all spent this year, which we do anticipate due to employee compensation, in 23-24 that'll drop out, as well as in 24-25. They're not currently budgeted, but they are placeholders for the budget, and we'll be planning to take those out. And then we have our committed, which are our funds above and beyond 10%. We have 6.2 million set aside for post-retirement and then facilities and deferred maintenance, and we do plan to spend that as well. And then we'll go back to about 512,000, and that's what we always spend annually on post-retirement. Then we have our reserve for economic uncertainty. This fluctuates with our expenditures, and I'm happy to announce that we do not need additional expenditure reductions to maintain a 3% reserve. And this is the first time since 2016, and that's why we don't have a resolution today to do that. So that's very exciting. Well, it's exciting in my world, at least. I'm very excited. And then our actions to ensure continued fiscal solvency, which is our goal from here on out, continue to align staffing and declining enrollment, reduce staff as funding and timelines expire. So this really has to do when we have positions that come along with our restricted funds, evaluate health and welfare costs, and continue to incorporate updated revenue and expenditures as they become available for current and multi-year projections. So with that, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the first interim financial report for 22-23 as presented and certify the district's financial obligations for the current year and for the subsequent 2 fiscal years.
Do you have any public comment, Ann?
Todd Madison.
All right, me again. So $33 million for books and supplies. That's got to be like 5 to 10 times more than we spend in a year ever. That's just awesome. It's crazy. I didn't see this, but I assume we can certify positive at this point. So that's great news too. Unfortunately, of course, it had nothing to do with financial decisions made by the district or the board. It was all one-time money. We had the equivalent of a rich uncle pass away. So contrary to Eric Joyce's claims during the election, the only reason we're positive is because we've had that rich uncle pass away. It's a one-time event. Of course, the COVID mitigation funding is legendary. Incredible bump in state revenue last year as well. We can't expect a repeat of that. The state's already projecting a $25 billion drop in revenue next year. We have rainy day funds at the state level that'll cushion that a bit, but that's not going to last forever. If the governor is prudent, not a word that can normally be applied to government, he'll back off on the incredible funding for our schools. So we'll see what happens there. The MYP looks good now because, of course, we got such enormous reserves, so that's good for now. But combine that with the expected enrollment drops, and it's only a matter of time before the decisions like the one we made earlier tonight will catch up with us, and we'll be back to qualified. So we're spending one-time money on things that increase operating costs forever. I'm sure you all know that. So the prudent thing to do would be to use our money to improve the education of our kids, which would actually help decrease the enrollment drop, which would be a long-term smart thing to do, not the bank account of adults, and stash what's left over for a rainy day. But I don't expect that to happen. There's that word prudent again, which we know does not apply to government. So we'll see what happens when the budget comes out in January, of course. The governor's 23, 24 will come out at that point. Hopefully it won't be too much of a bloodbath for everybody, but it would be nice to see decisions being made now that anticipated that. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Do I hear a motion to approve item 8C?
Second.
I have a first and a second. We have all in favor of approving item 8C, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have 4-0 vote. Item 9, policy development. A, approval revision of policy 3110 transfer, board policy transfer 3110 transfer of funds.
President Alvarez, all of these board policies are per CSBA recommendations of updates or new board policies or revisions, and we recommend that the board take action on them all together. However, we do have public comment for a couple of them.
Can we go ahead and we'll go with public comment now first then? Thank you.
Okay, the first one will be 9C, Rose Higuera. And then, Rose, we have a speaker on D, so you will have to wait for that one.
So 9C, this is taken from the board policy manual of the district. It says the Board of Education believes that the personal life of an employee is not an appropriate concern of the district, except as it may directly relate to the performance of the employee's duties. So it seems like Julie Vitelli, our superintendent, has used her lifestyle as keynote speaker by the Pride by the Beach. And so I think that's definitely a conflict of interest for us parents here in the community. You have successfully elevated our school to number 19 in California as a safe school for LGBTQ. You were awarded basically an award for your lifestyle by Tony Thurman, which is really shameful. We have a lawsuit. It is the first in California that is suing the school district for violating the law by illegally providing minors with inappropriate gender-affirming surveys, medically and age-inappropriate curriculum without proper parent notification. So I'm sure this is the first of many. I'm hoping that there is a class action lawsuit against OUSD for all of this stuff that is being shoved down our kids' throat. The district has a clear and present duty to provide health/sex education that complies with California law. Instead, the district decided in an arbitrary and irrational manner to provide an education that is not age appropriate, medically accurate, and free of bias. In so doing, it violated both its ministerial and discretionary duties. The school boards want to teach, but they must respect the fundamental right that parents have to control their kids' upbringing. Our children may be our future, but it is their parents' right and responsibility to raise them. Transitioning a child's gender, promoting gender-affirming treatment, and sexually explicit curriculum to minors without parents' knowledge or proper consent is illegal. School districts are clearly violating the law by providing minors with inappropriate gender-affirming surveys and gender-affirming treatments while withholding this from parents. These so-called support plans remove the most important and vital protection children have, the parent. This issue is getting national attention as the practice is increasing to give children puberty blockers to alter their gender. This is not an LGBTQ issue. This is about the children. Children are minors. They are not equipped to make decisions of this nature without their parents. They should not be manipulated to make life-altering medical treatments without their parents' knowledge and consent. These choices are for adults to make, not minors.
Thank you, Rose.
9D, Todd Madison.
All right. So school calendar. So we've talked about this many times in the past. There's nothing that affects families' day-to-day schedule life more than the school calendar. Yet the calendar is usually designed behind closed doors by a group that includes exactly 0 parents. In other words, like labor negotiations, the party with the most at stake is the one kept outside the room on this one, outside those closed doors while discussions are going on. I'd call it a smoke-filled room, but no one really smokes anymore, certainly not cigars. The document says the district shall adopt a school calendar that meets the requirements of the law, as well as the needs of community, students, et cetera, et cetera. Perhaps it's time for the district to read that sentence a few times and understand that this is something parents should be involved in and should have a say in representing their students. Stacy and Raquel will remember when we addressed this in the DPAC. The Parent Advisory Committee was actually used to give advice to the district at that point. Blow me down with a feather. We evaluated a few district calendar options and took a vote, kind of how it's supposed to be. To be honest, the calendar I preferred lost by 1 vote. But yet I stood at this podium, announced our results, and recommended that the district go with that calendar, because that's what parents said. Doesn't make any difference what I want. That's how it works when you care about parent input, as I do. I would suggest that you take up that idea and put parents on this calendar advisory committee instead of crafting it simply to work for adults in the district and employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Items E and F, Rose Higuera.
This is also taken from the board policy manual. It's about volunteer assistance. It says the governing board recognizes that volunteer assistance in schools can enrich the educational program, increase supervision of students, and contribute to school safety while strengthening the school's relationships with the community. The Board of Education encourages parents/guardians and other members of the community to share their time, knowledge, and ability with students. Well, it seems like this school board has done nothing of the sort. You have actually undermined families and parental authority. And further down on this policy, we see the parents' rights and responsibilities in item CF 5020. We do have rights and responsibilities. Our kids' health and safety, emotional well-being, is like the most important and paramount. And these agendas that you're filling our kids' heads with are very detrimental to their health and to families. You are actually undermining families, which are the bedrock of society. All right, moving on to 9F. This is about physical education and activity. It says physical education classes shall be conducted in the co-ed inclusive manner prescribed by law. So I want to know what protections are given to our girls in the locker rooms. I want to know if boys are allowed into the locker rooms, and if so, what age group? Because I think it is very important to protect our girls and their privacy, and I would like some accountability in this area.
Okay, I gotta get a Rose, thank you. Are you done? Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve items 9A through 9G? Oh, sorry, 9K. Oh, the first second, 9G.
Second that motion.
Have a first and a second. All in favor of approving items 9A through G, say aye.
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 Thank you. Have a 4-0 vote. We are on to public comment, non-agenda items. Just a reminder, the Board of Education is happy to receive comments about items and issues on tonight's agenda, as well as topics within the board's jurisdiction that does not appear on the agenda. Generally, each person may speak for up to 3 minutes. However, the total time for public input may be limited to 20 minutes per item or topic. While the total time per speaker for a given topic may be slightly reduced in certain circumstances, all persons wishing to address the board will have a meaningful opportunity to do so during this meeting. An individual may only turn in one off-agenda public comment card per board meeting. In addition, no one individual may give their time to anyone else for the purpose of extending their public comment time. Open meeting laws and fairness to other residents who may have an interest in your topic prohibit the board from taking action or engaging in extended discussion of your concerns. Thank you.
We have 5 public comments. We'll go with Todd Madison first.
So good news, this is the last. So I'm sure you appreciate that. So I would like to know how to do presentations at these meetings, though. I mean, we used to do it all the time in pre-COVID, but apparently that's either not a thing anymore. I'm not sure what that is, but I saw presentations being given by others in the audience, so I assume there must be a way to do it. So anyway, on to this. So here we are, parents, again, speaking to you from the back of the bus. The end of the line, the end of the meeting. Once upon a time, America decided it was not good to allow discrimination to send people to the back of the bus based on who they were. Eliminating that discrimination is one of the best things we have ever done as a country. But yet here we are, parents, simply because we are who we are, relegated to the back of the meeting to express themselves about the school to their school board. We've heard many times how important that feedback is and how much the board values it. I believe that. But I think we can judge the real value by where it sits on the board agenda, last, at the very end, bringing up the rear. We've heard the board would reconsider this and put the agenda comment back where it belongs for many years before, I mean forever before, but of course no action has actually been taken. I've recently watched or spoken at a number of board meetings around this county, and I can tell you every single one of them had off-agenda comment at the beginning of the meeting. We're the only one I know of. There may be a few more, but we're the only one I've ever attended, watched, or spoken at that does that. But here we are in the back in Oceanside. Some of us might sit through board meetings anyway. To me, there is nothing more riveting than listening to Dr. Norman speak about interim budget reports. I could watch that forever. But most people would consider that a form of mental illness. However, they prefer to express themselves to the board and then get the heck out before the numbers start flowing and their eyes glaze over. So yet the board, who supposedly values that input, makes them sit through all of that to get to this point, to be able to talk for no apparent reason. I'm not quite sure what difference it makes, whether we put this at the beginning or the end, except perhaps to discourage people from speaking. We've seen many meetings in the past where the audience kind of clears out and Ann calls people who aren't here anymore. It just happens, particularly on longer meetings. So that can't be true, though, I'm sure. I'm sure that can't be true, given the high value our board places on public comment. So we see this brought up at various meetings. I've heard other people than me talk about it, actually, amazingly enough. I'm not the only one who feels that way. Perhaps our new board should do something different and reconsider taking us from the back of the bus to the front of the bus where we belong. It is 2022, you know. Thank you very much.
Michael Richardson.
You might remember that several months ago, during a Zoom meeting, I became so frustrated with your intransigence that I declared war on you. And of course, Stacy cut me off. Well, we've just lost the first battle of that war. But I'm here to tell you that we're not going anywhere. I'm here to tell you that we're still here. Nancy, we supported your opponent in hopes of getting a foot in the door on this board, but we do have high hopes that you will surprise us and actually work for the benefit of the kids and not the deep state of education. We hope you will expose the fraud that is DEI, SEL, CRT, and all the other social engineering acronyms that are cheating our kids out of an education that would prepare them for a happy and productive life. Nancy, maybe you will ask questions and not be the rubber stamp that your cohorts have been. Maybe you will work with parents and grandparents and the community to show that you are actually here for a good and noble purpose and not just the perpetuation of the mismanagement that has given us test scores in the toilet. We can't wait for some discussion, maybe opposition to orders from the boss. And we wonder if we will ever see a 4-1 vote. But we know that is unlikely, given the proclivity of those pulling your strings for cancerous self-promotion and corruption. Therefore, we are here. We will continue to fight for the kids and the parents and for a responsible and sane use of the taxpayers' $230 million plus that you use as your own piggy bank. We will never give up until we have removed your evil ways from this district.
CJ Malahulu.
Hi, my name is CJ Malaulu, Community School Coordinator here at Cesar Chavez. I grew up in this district. I attended Reynolds, MLK, and graduated from El Camino High School. Received my AA from Palomar College, a bachelor's from Kent State University. Before I accepted this position, I was in line to complete my master's and credential with National University. After Kent State, I came home and started coaching football and working as a campus supervision assistant. I've coached 3 years at El Camino High School under head coaches Pulu Pumele and John Roberts, 3 years at Oceanside High School under Dave Rodriguez, and I am now entering my 4th season coaching football at Palomar College under head coach Joe Early. I served as a campus supervision assistant at El Camino High, Lincoln Middle School, and the past 5 years at Jefferson Middle School. As a CSA, I fell in love with serving the whole school, not just one classroom, but every class, every student, and every family. For this reason, I procrastinated in pursuing my teaching credential. It was difficult for me even to imagine committing to one class and limiting my connection to every class. Staying true to my intent, I have only been interested in a position that would allow me to give more to this community. The community school coordinator position aligns entirely with who I am as a person. However, there are 2 other positions I would consider, both football coaching positions, one of which is currently available. The Oceanside High School head football coach is one of the most influential positions in our city. With this position comes not only the ability to lead a football team, but through our team, the opportunity to coach our community, a community in need. There is energy in Oceanside right now that contributes and encourages our young people to make very poor decisions, decisions that would lead to the photograph you saw at the end of last month's board meeting, caused by one of my former Jefferson students. Or what happened to my good friend, Chad Danielson, PE teacher, Jefferson Middle. or the tragedy involving one of our Surfside students earlier this year. I believe I can redirect much of this energy that exists in our community. All I need is an opportunity. I don't want to teach a PE class. I wish to serve a community and keep my current status as a classified manager. I'm hopeful that there is a way a community school coordinator like myself can coexist with the head coaching position, or at least be considered for an interview. Thank you, and have a great night, folks.
Emily Richmond.
It's in process, I think. That's not the way you apply, but we had a ton of applicants for it. But if he has a good resume, he'd be considered. It doesn't matter if you're classified or certificated.
A couple of weeks ago, many of us who've won and lost school board races attended an education conference hosted by the Pacific Research Institute. And at that conference, we were given a copy of this book, Great Parent Revolt: How Parents and Grassroots Leaders Are Fighting Critical Race Theory in American Schools. We were given, and this is by Lancy Zume, along with 158 endnotes or references. We were given examples and resources which explain critical race theory, policies promoting ideological-based racial justice, hiring personnel advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, introducing curriculum and controversial issues like ethnic studies and social emotional learning. Topics such as, all these topics has been voted and adopted by the Oceanside Unified School District. It also mentions some educational topics, including restorative justice. Is it working in Oceanside? I don't think so. How about cultural relevant pedagogy, etc.? This book features people who have experienced communist cultural revolution China and immigrants who see critical race theory as a development of oppression in their countries. Also, too, would be the African Americans and Asian parents who are outraged by the treatment of their children in schools which previously valued the merit system. Also, parents who were labeled domestic terrors by speaking out about their actions in their schools, the radical changes made by administration and school boards. Many school districts are featured on these programs and procedures that are critical race theory, whether schools want to admit it or not. Oceanside Unified is featured by pointing out their 2021 equity and cultural proficiency presentation. It included my observation about the quote, "to intentional ability to give up privileges and power for the greater good." I'm quoted as saying, in my experience, such a comment is communism. Also mentioned is the professional learning, focusing on the unconscious and implicit bias workshops, where staff would be taught about, among other things, power and privilege and unbiasing. There are a couple of pages in this book on how I was raised and our beautiful, diverse community of Oceanside. I'm also quoted as saying that the community and the children do not like what's happening in our school district. And I'm quoted by saying it's not what
Thank
our
you,
kids
Emily.
need, and it's not Oceanside.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Allison Menu.
Good evening. So my name is Allison Minot, and I'm a parent of 2 in OUSD. Just finished up wrapping up candidacy for school board in District 1, and I'd like to congratulate my opponent here, Nancy Licona, on her win for this very important seat. I'd also like to bring you, Nancy, up to speed on our district over the past couple years when I opened my eyes and got involved. The school board you are now on has not represented students and families, and in fact, the school board is to steer the ship, not our superintendent, Dr. Vitale, which unfortunately has been the case I'm hearing now for several years. The school board is here to hold our superintendent, Dr. Vitale, accountable for her actions and representation of our school district. But unfortunately, they consistently vote 5-0 with money flying out the door instead of staying in the classrooms for our students and their needs, most importantly, their education. For instance, in April of 2021, Patch.com wrote an article and, quote, Oceanside Unified School District spending on PPE surpassed all else at the district for the first major wave of COVID-19 relief funds. And that was at, let's see here, 68% on PPE and 31% on distance learning. That's what this school board did during a very, very hard time for students and families on Zoom school, locked out of the classroom, by the way. Let's also not forget OUSD was the last city in North County to drag their feet to open the doors fully to students during the pandemic. The board that you are now on dragged their feet, making terrible decisions during a very difficult time. This resulting in, as we know, we've been told, massive learning loss and students suffering for mental health and well-being, for their mental health and well-being. We also have a director of equity, diversity, and inclusion that makes $205,000 a year. And, you know, Carlsbad doesn't have that, Vista doesn't have that. I don't understand why we have to pay someone that much money for just terrible nonsense. You also have to, you know, I have to say I spoke to some janitors this last time, and you guys gotta, you know, listen to your staff, and they really need an increase, and it's really quite sad that you're not giving them anything. But Nancy, I really hope you can make a difference and listen to our students and families and community members, but also work with the board to effectively steer the ship.
Allison.
Thank you.
And that concludes our meeting. We adjourn at 8:02. Thank you all and have a good night. Thank you for coming.